You're listening to Season 3 of Celebrating Simple Life, the podcast. I'm Kimberly Evans, and I've been planning events, workshops, retreats, and socials for almost 20 years. After working with so many incredible clients and entrepreneurs, and personally experiencing hardship in life and business, I've discovered how powerful our mindset and purpose is in creating a life of joy and celebration while having a whole lot of fun along the way. Join me with a coffee or cocktail as I connect with inspiring leaders, entrepreneurs, tastemakers, and extraordinary people as they share their journey in life and business and how they are striving to live a life of purpose. Your fears and beliefs in yourself will be transformed as you work towards creating the best version of yourself from the inside out. You're in good company. Cheers to celebrating simple life. Today on Celebrating Simple Life, the podcast, I'm chatting with blogger Jenn Pike. She started her Wild Rose Country home blog a few years ago and very quickly realized that she was onto something and has built a loyal following that she treats like family. Her love of design, merged with wanting to share the ways she makes her home cozy, welcoming, and inviting, has captivated readers from far and wide. Her creativity and DIY capabilities are incredible, and despite the fact that she has to manage some challenging health concerns, her positivity and excitement for creating a home that you love is so inspiring. Tune in as we chat all about blogging, making a house a home, and finding ways to make this holiday season extra special. Hello, Jenn. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Hi there.
I'm so happy to have you here.
Well, I'm happy to be here.
Yes, it's been such a long time since I've gotten to see you in person. And now the beauty of technology, even amidst a world pandemic, is that we can be in different cities and still connect.
That's right. It's an amazing feature that we can enjoy nowadays, eh?
Absolutely. So I am so excited to hear your whole entire story. So I want to start at the beginning, and I would love to just hear a little bit of your background in life and how you got started in what some people feel is a mystery of blogging, and how does blogging work? And I would love to hear how Wild Rose Country Home came to be.
For sure. I mean, I wouldn't say like that I'm an official blogger. When people ask me about blogging, I say I'm blogger-ish because I am very technically challenged when it comes to, I mean, you could see when I was trying to get onto the Zoom call, I was just like, okay, am I on? Like, I don't know what's happening, right? So I feel like I'm a blogger. I love the creative aspect of it. I love taking pictures. I love decorating. I love sharing my stories and the writing. But as far as the technology goes, I feel like I jumped in blind with both feet and kind of felt like I was thinking for a bit. But my daughter, actually hired her part-time to take over a lot of the tech side of the blog. So I feel a lot better now after 3 years of struggling that, you know, if I have an issue, I can call her and say, hey, can you help me with this? And that's great.
Totally, like having one of those big red staples, like help buttons, be like,
Yeah.
help me.
Yes.
It's hard though. Like, I feel like the idea of running a blog, figuring out your content, trying to document things and photographs and all of the writing and everything that you just described, along with just like a business, along with running the back end and the technical side. And when things go wrong and not quite sure on things, it's not easy to, and sometimes I think we as women too, we feel like if you have an idea and you want to move forward on something, we feel like we just always have to have it all figured out yesterday. And then it's frustrating for it to not all just go into place, when really often the whole journey of figuring it out is kind of where so many new and cool and interesting things kind of get learned. Hey.
Yeah. And that's the thing. When people ask me, I say to them, well, do your research before. But like you said, a lot of people are just eager to start something new and try something out. And they see that other people have done it. So they think, well, why not? Why can't I start a blog? Why can't I do this? So they just kind of jump in and get started, and then they realize, well, I've got to swim. I can't sink on this. Yeah, I started it. So yeah, and it is a lot of work. It's rewarding work once it's posted and done, and you get to see for me, the beauty of the design and the feeling of accomplishment that comes with creating a post, right?
Totally.
But the road to it is not, you have to come up, simple, let's say a simple Valentine's tablescape that you want to create. You have to think, well, I want this content to be posted, at the beginning of February or even at the end of January. So you need to start thinking about your content for that, end of December, beginning of January. You need to come up with an original idea, something that people are going to want to click to see, shop for all of this. And that's a little bit challenging now with COVID, that
Totally.
get most of my stuff online and, and then execute it, take the photos, edit all the photos, create inspiration through your storyline, get that posted at a good time when people are going to, be on their computers and want to see this. And it's just, there's so much that goes into it that people don't realize. And then, an email comes into their inbox and just says, Wild Rose Country Home tablescape, and they can easily just delete that away. And so
totally, you're like, and it's like, it never happened.
Yeah, I know. And they're like, why is there so many emails coming into my inbox? And you're like, just please click it.
Yeah, please click it. Do you know how much work it took to put this all together?
Yeah, exactly. And then, I've been doing this for 3 years with, collaborations and things that come up. But as far as getting paid content, I have been paid for a few of my blogs, but a lot of it has been to create inspiration, and just I love doing it. So it's a great hobby for me.
Well, clearly it must be something that you enjoy, because your posts are beautiful. And I love that you address this right off the top of just talking about how, I think this is we talk about this a lot on Celebrating Simple Life, the podcast. There's such a misconception between reality and Instagram reality, and
Right.
just seeing the background. I just feel like it's so important, because I'm in an industry like that too. I'm not posting ugly event photos. I'm posting
Right.
the perfect photos that look like it was effortless. And did I have to drive through a blizzard to get it all set up? Yep, sure did. Did I think I wasn't going to make it home? Yep, sure did.
Yeah.
And collecting it all, it's tons
Totally.
and tons and tons of work, and it's impossible to document the whole entire process from beginning to end, because it's just endless. And
Mm-hmm.
it is so satisfying to get to the end and see it all come together, the vision you always were seeing in your head that nobody else could see until it gets to the very end. But yeah, I feel like those steps, because I think that starting a blog and the idea of a blog are, anybody can dream this up. Anybody can
Mm-hmm.
say, I want to start a blog. There's free templates out there. Like, there literally isn't really much that would stop somebody, but having it be something that is successful. And by successful, I don't necessarily just mean monetized. I mean success in a sense that you feel fulfilled from blogging, feel like what is going on with your blog is doing what your goals are wanting it to do, whatever that may be. There can be variant goals, but I think that is the part that's hard. And I feel like the consistency of it and the keeping on going on it, even when you aren't necessarily seeing the reward of it, is kind of part of the whole experience of blogging.
Yeah, exactly. It's that journey from going from the beginning and then working hard. And then as things start to come up, later on, as you've worked really hard, then the reward it's there. My husband talks a lot, seeing as he's in the funeral industry, the pre-need industry, he talks a lot about, that he says, Jen, this is your legacy. You're leaving behind this blog so that your grandkids and anyone can come back to the internet and see, who you were and what you created. And so that really helps me to keep going with it when there's discouraging days. I say, you know what, it's awesome that this is here, that this is what I'm going to leave behind, no matter what happens with it in the future.
Totally. So I want to back up just a little bit. How did the idea of starting the blog, and even you naming it Wild Rose Country Home, and deciding that you wanted to document for my listeners who haven't seen your blog before, giving them just a little bit of a background of how did you decide to document your own home and your own decor and your own things? How did the idea come to say, you know what, this is something I really love to do. Why not turn this into a blog?
Yeah, for sure. So I have always loved decorating ever since I was a little girl. I remember being 8 and going into IKEA and just being like, oh, wow, I can, I can paint my walls and I can match up this bedspread or these curtains. And luckily my mom had let me redecorate my room several times. Pretty sure I did like a purpley unicorn kind of color scheme. Definitely the pinks early on. It was everything pink. Then it went purple. And then I kind of went off on this like red and yellow and white scheme, which was really weird. But yeah, I had always loved expressing myself through design and decor. I felt like that was a world where I could control the outcomes. Like this is how I can express myself. I know I can make something beautiful, and that's what I want to do. So I did that throughout all of our marriage, and a lot of people would comment like, you're so good at this. Why aren't you a designer? Why aren't you, a decorator for, as a profession? And I was like, well, I don't think I'm that good at it. Like in the sense of making it something I want to do for the rest of my life. I just, I plan parties or I decorate rooms, that kind of thing. But finally, when we moved, fast forward 25 years, I guess, after Ken and I have been married that long, we moved to Lloydminster and we bought a home here. And this was in 2015. My first daughter, Jordan, was getting married that year. And I kind of looked around at all my furniture and I was like, you know what? We've had this furniture for a really long time. And so why don't I just gift it to her? And then we can kind of start scratch in our new home and redecorate, each room. And I thought, well, maybe that'd be fun to document this process. So I started an Instagram account, and yeah, I actually named it Do You Decor on Instagram. And that lasted for about a month. And then I changed my name to Wild Rose Country Home because I don't know, it felt like it had that Alberta connection, which was really important for me at the time. And yeah, this like country home feel, which is we were kind of out in the country. And yeah, it felt like it had a better presence on Instagram, being Wild Rose Country Home. So I switched it to that and started my blog that month. And yeah, like I said, jumped in both feet, not really realizing what I was getting into, but the community of people on Instagram and the support I had, really helped me get a good start.
Oh, I love that. I feel like one of the things that we don't talk about all that often as grown-ups, I feel, is even just talking about our hobbies and what we're interested in. I feel like there's this idea that if you aren't in, like, if you are wanting to have a conversation with another adult, you have to either talk about your career or you have to talk about your children or your family or like all of these other things. And I have had so many conversations, especially in this last year, as I think everybody's had such a different headspace with just what's going on in the world, and our schedules have been different and our time availability has been different, just everything getting flipped upside down from a scheduling standpoint with the pandemic. And I feel like so many women that I talk to honestly can't say what they are passionate about or excited about, or even a hobby that they would like to try. It's almost like, well, I'm so happy that I have this free time and now I get to just make sure I'm on top of my household, or I'm like, I can get my laundry done this week, which is all great and fine. But I feel like we've almost been conditioned to this idea that while you're in certain stages of life, whether you have young kids or even just kids that are still living at home and there's more people around to take care of, and we just have this nature of everyone needs to be taken care of before ourselves, I think we just forget where we started from. And I am so guilty of this too. And it's like a constant kind of reminder to myself of
what do I actually like doing? What makes me happy, and has nothing to do with running a business or making money or needing it to be monetized, or like, just if I could just lose myself in something, what would that be? And I think that's so great that you're taking that approach. And sure, there's different opportunities that present itself with the blog, but kind of looking at it, just saying, this is going to be a passion project first, and all of the other things that happen because of it are bonuses.
Yeah. And it's, I'm lucky that I have had the opportunity to do it that way, because when we moved to Lloydminster, at that point, I had started to get, I was dealing with a lot of illness, and it just started to get worse. And so I had to put my career aside because I really wasn't able to go to work. So I felt like I had this free time way before the pandemic, and I had my own free time that I had to figure out how to fill up. So I thought, this would be a really good opportunity, since, my husband can bring in the income for me right now, and I'll just put my work aside, focus on something I'm passionate about. And yeah, it's a true gift.
That's amazing. Well, and to be able to look at it too, because having health struggles and is challenging. And I mean, raising a child with a chronic illness, like, I don't have those types of an illness myself, but being that in our 24-hour a day to day, every single day of things to focus on, it's easy to kind of get lost in that sometimes, and to find it harder to see some of the good things, because life just feels hard sometimes when you're managing your health and being the caregiver of managing her health. And I think that it's so important to find things that can just occupy your mind in a positive, healthy way, instead of not to remove the fact that a condition is or isn't there, because it doesn't go away, but to be able just to be at least in the healthiest headspace that you can be, and adding good things into our lives so that it can feel like therapy versus getting hyper focused on all of the negative.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you're so right. When you're dealing with illness, you definitely need an outlet where you're succeeding somewhere, where you feel like I can't control all these things that are going wrong in my body, but I can, put a really pretty pillow on a couch and change
that's going to make me happy today.
Exactly.
Totally. So how do you continue to stay inspired as you come up with new ideas for your blog, and just what's your process in figuring out what you're going to share and how you keep it exciting for yourself and for people following along with your blog?
Well, I definitely focus mainly on, I would say, seasonal decor, taking your home through, the winter months. What does winter decorating look like? What does it look like to add, touches for each holiday? What does it look like to have a summer home? And how can you reflect, what's going on in nature inside your home? It's not something that I've done in the past, but definitely in the past 3 years, I've looked at changing up my decor seasonally a lot more. So I would say that's the biggest part of my blog, is decorating for each season and holiday. And then in the mix of all that, it would be doing specific renovation projects around the house. And I get a ton of inspiration, obviously, on Instagram. It's Instagram. You have to be really engaged in it, and you have to be able to get far, I guess you could say, in Instagram. You can't just post a photo and leave. You have to create friendships. You have to create community. You have to create those bonds with people that are wanting to walk alongside you. And so I've definitely seen a lot of inspiration on there, and that's where I get most of it from. Early on, I would say Debbie Travis. I don't know if you know her. She's a
Of
Canadian.
course, Debbie. I saw her speak live in
Okay.
Saskatoon once, and she was so engaging.
Oh, I just love her. Early on, I grew up in Montreal, and she lived there for a big chunk of time. She might still have a house there. I'm not sure. But one time I was working, and I don't want to say where I was working because, well, I mean, not that she's going to listen to this podcast, so I guess I can say it. But
maybe if we tag her in it, she will.
Yeah, but at the time, I was working at a downtown Weight Watchers location, and she came in, and I had her book that was signed by her. I had watched every show of hers. I had painted my basement floors with her 10-step program, all the things. And I got completely starstruck. I just stared at her, and she's basically wanting me to weigh her. And I'm just sitting there like, oh my goodness, it's Debbie Travis. Just keep your cool. And then I felt bad because she had gained 2 pounds, but I was like, I'm sorry, you've gained 2 pounds this week. And she was like,
can we please discuss my new paint job while you're here?
So yeah, unfortunately that was my
that is the best. Well, we just had an episode a couple weeks ago about celebrity encounters, and this would definitely fall under unique celebrity encounters and places you would never anticipate running into someone.
That's true. So true. Yeah, so
I love that. Well, and I love that you addressed the community building on social media. I feel like that is something that is often, depending on what somebody's purpose for being on social media might be, I feel like that's often is a miss, where we have this idea that you post, you write something, you either are posting it for whatever reason, or you're trying to sell something, or whatever the case may be, and then that's just end of story, rather than thinking. I've been working through some marketing, just sort of like search engine optimization type courses and stuff in the last year. And that's something that keeps coming up, is just how important it is to be thinking of every single word that you write and even image that you post as if you're really talking to a friend. You're talking to somebody specifically. This isn't just, hey world, are you listening?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's that balance between for me, being a bit of a perfectionist and not wanting, like, I have my guard up. I don't want everyone to know everything about me, but also you have to be vulnerable. So, yeah, it's definitely a tightrope I walk, and I try really hard to create those open posts, those open conversations. And I always encourage people to reach out to me in my DMs. And, if I post something that either in my stories or on my blog or Instagram, whatever, just to reach out if they want to talk about anything, or, yeah. And it really has created just this awesome group of friends. Like, I have people in the decor community that I want to meet one day. I have definitely created really awesome relationships, and that's been super helpful for me.
That's so amazing. Well, and it's interesting. I feel like even with technology being so necessary in the last year with how to stay connected amidst a pandemic, I honestly have had so many virtual experiences that have really felt a very similar connection to things that have happened in real life meetup events, where I've been interacting with people in real life versus virtually, where you're just seeing each other on a screen. But I don't feel that that's obviously in person is, I don't think, ever going to go away as being the most favorite way to engage with other human beings, obviously. However, knowing that the opportunities, it's almost made me feel like the world has felt smaller, and that there's more opportunity for connection in this last year, because we all knew there just wasn't the option to meet face to face, and still isn't currently for some people that are living in different countries than us. And it just feels so cool that these connections can happen. And I think if done the right way, and like you said, staying in a way where you feel like you are friends and connecting, you're not just commenting back to somebody because you feel like you need to, which is sort of part of the whole social media thing, but you're actually commenting back just like you would if you were calling up a friend or having a conversation with somebody, and just being that real with people so that they recognize, like, we're just real people on the other ends of these Instagram accounts.
Yeah, exactly. We're human.
We're human.
Yeah.
Totally. So what would you say with your blog in the last 3 years since you've started? I can only imagine how many things you have learned in the last few years, but what would be some advice you might be able to give to listeners listening who have maybe dreamed of starting a blog, aren't quite sure where to begin? How have you gone about, I know you mentioned having your daughter help you out with some of the technical things, but even from a sense of once you got the actual blog up there and like ready to go, how have you made certain decisions with that in regards to reaching out and accepting collaborations and partnerships and things that you feel suit you and your values and the things that you're wanting your blog to be? How have you gone about some of those things? And have you maybe had some experiences that haven't gone well and some that have been great to kind of know how to make these decisions for yourself?
So interestingly enough, when I started my blog and my Instagram account, I haven't once had to reach out to anybody yet. Like everybody just seems to come. I don't know if that happens for everyone, but I wasn't anybody, and I still, like, I'm not anybody now, but you just start the blog, and then you get some followers on Instagram, and then all of a sudden, people start emailing you and saying, partner with us with this and this and that. And so it's you really have to search through all the emails and decide which brands you want to work with, and do your research a little bit, because you want to build a trusting audience, and you don't just want to sell them or promote something that isn't true to what you would use in your own home or in your own life. So yeah, definitely sift through what comes in. My daughter is trying to encourage me right now. She's like, well, Mom, you need to start reaching out more to specific companies that you like to work with and see if they'll work with you back, because she had done that a few times and they had said yes. So I think that's on the horizon for me, possibly reaching out more and seeing if companies want to collaborate.
I'll get back to the show in 20 seconds, but I wanted to give you a moment to snag a Christmas sweet treat grazing box just in time for the holidays. Shipping gifts across Canada is going to be a big part of Christmas this year, and my festively curated Christmas sweet treat grazing box will make Christmas extra special. Filled with candy, chocolates, and sweet holiday favorites, this is a creative gift for friends, neighbors, teachers, coworkers, and anyone special in your life that you care about. This beautiful, festive Christmas sweet treat grazing box can be shipped right to your door for free in Saskatoon, or shipping is available across Canada. Best of all, a portion of each sweet treat box goes to supporting Cassidy's lemonade stand for cystic fibrosis. Give and receive. And because we could all use a little more joy right now, as a listener of Celebrating Simple Life, the podcast, you get an exclusive code to receive 10% off your Christmas sweet treat grazing box order with the code CELEBRATE10. You can click right from home at celebratingsimplelife.com and use the code CELEBRATE10, because today is a great day to celebrate. All right, friend, back to the show.
The work on the blog from companies that have reached out to me. Home hardware has been my biggest one, I would say. I've worked with them on about 4 different collaborations, I think now. In my home, we redid my office with them, my laundry room. Trying to think. Last year, we did the whole front porch redo for Christmas. And I'm currently working on a partnership with them now. They had me announce their color of the year last year, and I did the whole pantry redo.
That's
So
fun.
that's like, yeah, the best collaboration that I've had so far. And I had Lavazza Coffee reach out to me, which is funny because it's one of my favorite coffee brands. So I'm going to be working with them soon. Yeah, just different companies like that, different sign companies that are local in Canada have reached out to me. So I featured them a few times. I have my Amazon storefront. Yeah, so I mean, I feel like the companies that I decide to work with are definitely ones that I have handpicked. And you know what, most of the time it goes really, really well. Like I really haven't had any major issues with any of my collaborations. They usually go really well if you set the terms clear in advance and there's a good contract, then it really goes really well.
Well, and I think that kind of just speaks to also like the authenticity of it, of saying like, you're not wanting to fool anybody. You're not wanting to be fooled yourself. So to be promoting products and to be talking about them and working with products that you personally love, it really does feel like such an easy fit then, because all of us have so many different things in our day-to-day lives that we use from the moment we wake up till going to sleep at night, in our personal lives, business lives, like everything in between.
Yeah.
So that's such a nice way to be able to, because I feel sometimes like it's easy to think like, oh, why would somebody want to hear about this? And then you post something and they're like, oh my goodness, thank you so much. I've been looking for a product like this and I didn't know this existed.
I know. Yep, exactly.
I love that.
Yeah, so sometimes you take chances and other times it just works. So
that's so great. So
yeah.
How would you say, so you are a young woman, but you are a grandma and a mama and a wife. And
Yeah.
how do you manage life with incorporating your beautiful little grandbabies and your kids and husband and everything in between? And what would you say for the women listening to this today? How do you set like boundaries in your life, and even just with blogging and the things that you take on with that? How do you feel like you keep yourself balanced and living a simplified life that feels true to yourself?
Do I do that well? I don't know.
Or do you not do that well? That's a fair answer too, because that is a big struggle for me.
Yeah, no, I definitely am the hardest on myself when it comes to boundaries, and you know, my family is so important to me that I'd probably drop everything and run to them in an instant if anyone needed anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
But because of, you know, the various illnesses that I deal with, I have to really be careful about what I'm spending my energy on. But it is tough, you know, I see my grandkids and I just want to be around them all the time. I wish I could drive over to Moose Jaw, or they're actually in Caronport. My daughter and son-in-law and the two grandbabies there. I wish I could go every weekend, right, and see them and spend time with them, but it's just not a reality. And then my other daughter Taya lives in Lloydminster with us, and I do see them quite often, but again, sometimes I get the call like, Mom, you know, I haven't slept all night. Can you take, you know, my son for a couple of hours today? I really have to, like, of course I want to, right? Everything in my being is saying, yes, of course. But then I just think about my energy levels. And if I have, let's say, 2 to 3 hours of energy that day, and I look at, you know, what are my collaboration deadlines? What does my house look like today? Do I have doctor's appointments? Do I have exercise plans I have to follow? You know, do I have to get a certain amount of meals ready for Ken to support him in his job? Yeah, it's definitely something I do struggle with every day to keep that balance, but I think I'm doing okay. I don't know.
That's an interesting conversation when physical health is, I think that unless you have I think we as women, unless there's an actual diagnosed condition or things that you just notice in your body that are not responding well to certain things, I find it so interesting that it often feels like it takes that much for us to actually press pause and be more self-aware about what we actually need to feel as good as we can. I feel like, I know for myself, I don't have a specific like condition that I'm managing for me to know what my day needs to look like and how much energy. I just push until every single thing that I think that I have determined, no one's placing this upon me, that I think needs to get done. And if there's 40 things on my to-do list, well, that's when my day ends. And I do that day after day after day, rather than, I feel like, and I'm trying to model this for my two daughters, same as you having two daughters. Yeah. It's like you're trying to model this behavior from when they're little already till now. And there's days where my youngest will come up to me and be like, Mom, is there anything that I can take off your plate so that you could finish working sooner? I'm like, oh, I'm failing. Like it is like, I'm definitely hardest on myself too. And I think that it's so, like, unless we are actually struck down, which, as you're describing, of things where you physically feel there are only so much time in a certain day for you to feel really good, and you know your limits and you know what should and shouldn't happen in order to feel your best, that somehow it's like that's the only way we can give ourselves permission to actually say, oh yeah, I can just say no to this, rather than us looking at our lives always like that and saying, you know what, I can say no to this and there doesn't have to be a reason.
Yeah, I know, right? You feel so guilty.
Yeah, like everybody else. I do the same thing where you almost feel like other people's feelings, whether they are family members or friends or business associates or whomever, their feelings, we want to hold those closer than we even hold our own. And it has just like come back time and time again for me, especially over the last few years, just in how that comes back to bite me, rather than being able to forward think and say, you know what, I just need to know my limits and I don't need to apologize. And I can't remember, I would think it was a few weeks back, a guest that I had on the show, and she said, no, thank you is a complete sentence. I love that, because we always feel like we need a massive explanation of reasons to go along with just no, thank you, period.
Yeah, I need to take that into consideration.
Right? There's a little nugget for you today. It's not my own, but I'm now adopting it too.
Yeah, that's perfect.
I love that. So what would you say? I know you were talking about how being on Instagram and just getting the relationships that you have with other people that you've met within the community, but in your day-to-day life, if you're out and about, and I know it's a little bit different right now, but even thinking in years past, how did you find sort of your style in the way that you seasonally decorate, and where do you glean inspiration from? I know Debbie Travis was brought up too as somebody else, but where do you kind of search for this, and how did you make your own style feel like your own?
Yeah, Ken was talking to me about this last week because, he's been kind of helping me get through all the, the 50 million Christmas bins and sorting through everything.
Bless his heart. Yeah.
He's like, how do you do this all day? Like, he was just exhausted. But yeah, I decorate a space until I feel like I'm comfortable in it. So I don't really know what that means as per a style or,
almost a feeling.
A specific thing. Yeah, it's a feeling. I walk into a room and I say, what do I want to feel? And what does someone, a guest coming into my home, what do I want them to feel? I almost want them to just feel comfortable no matter what. So they can't really pinpoint what it is, but but it's just, they walk in, they're like, wow, this is like, I can relax here. I feel like comfortable in the space. So
I
yeah,
love that.
I think like I guess if I had to pick a style, I would say I err on the side of maybe modern farmhouse with, a boho flair. But,
Mm-hmm.
there's traditional, in my office that I'm sitting in right now, I have a board and batten wall feature, and that's very traditional. And then the color, which is white, and then the color on top is an emerald green. And I have a hanging macrame and, a Moroccan style rug. So it's kind of eclectic, but it's not, because I think a lot of styles these days can just go hand in hand. So I think if you just make a space feel like everything is cohesive and comfortable in it, then that's my style.
I love that. I do love that. So for Christmas coming up, hard to believe that Christmas is around the corner. What would you say as just some easy ideas for those, especially because shopping and everything is going to be very different this holiday season, just with everything that's going on, and you want to support local, and yet like hopefully they have online ordering options and different things too, to try to make things as safe as possible. But what would be just a few easy ideas for even just shopping your own home or picking up a few new things, just to exactly what you said, to add just a sense of comfortableness for the holiday season into somebody's home?
I definitely, like you said, shop your home is the first thing you should do. Get out everything that you would decorate with typically at Christmas, and go through it and just decide, do I want this in my life this Christmas? Is this going to feel too cluttered? Is going the traditional route that I, always do every year, is that really what I want to do this year? Just because I have this Santa figurine that grandma gave me 5 years ago, it doesn't mean I have to put that out this year. Like, decide on each piece that you want in your space this year.
Like Marie Kondo, does it spark joy?
Yeah, does it spark joy? That's great. And then there, you can use a whole bunch of things that you wouldn't necessarily think are Christmas-y per se. I just decorated a garland that I laid across my desk that I'm going to be posting, I think, tonight on Instagram, where I just shoved in dried flowers and driftwood and things that were from my summer section of my decor closet. And it looks awesome. I was like, yes, I did this. Good. It looks good, because you don't know until you do it. But
reinventing the garland.
Yeah, reinventing it. I put tons of like summer flowers into my Christmas tree this year. And my front entry table has hydrangeas. So really just reinvent it with what you have, and again, feel like you're accomplished in what you're doing. Feel like it feels comfortable to you, then it'll feel comfortable to everyone else.
Well, and there's really, maybe other designers would disagree, but I feel like if you are comfortable in your home, and there's no wrong way to design if your home makes you feel really good.
Exactly. Yeah,
I love
totally.
that.
Yeah, that's a good motto to go by, because then you don't have to apologize for it. It's just what you
that's
like.
Right. Well, and don't you find, like, haven't you like been to somebody's house where the whole time you're at their house, they're apologizing for, oh, like this isn't quite right. Oh, like we're about to renovate this room, or
especially me having this account. I hear it all the time, like, oh, can we actually have you in our home? Like, are you gonna judge us? It's like, how do you do it? And I'm like, you know what? It's your space. So if you feel like you love what it looks like, then great. If not, I'd love to help you with ideas. I'm often talking with people about how to recreate their space on a budget, or a couple of DIYs, couple of pillow changes, or duvet or something, right? Just to give that fresh feeling. But
and it kind of just changes your like mindset and your headspace. I find too, just even I changed the curtains in our bedroom a couple months back, and I'm like, this feels like a completely different room. And I literally did nothing but get different curtains.
Yeah, exactly. And you can play musical furniture throughout your home. I do it all the time. I have maybe 8 to 10 different rugs in my house, and they just go in different rooms where I wanted to be during that season. So,
and Ken never knows what house he's walking into when he gets home from work trips. Like, oh, where am I? She's at it again.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
I love it. I love it. Well, I have a few questions to end our interview. I could talk to you for hours. This has been so inspiring, and I need to now go shop my house. Now I am like really feeling the itch.
Yeah.
Definitely. I have a few questions to get to know you a little bit better, just to know, like we were talking about, the inner details of your life, so that everyone listening knows that we are just real people like everyone else.
Exactly.
Okay, so here are the speed questions. What is one thing that you do in the morning that sets the tone for your day?
Well, I actually do a little devotional that I post every morning as well on my stories on Instagram. It just really helps me just take a moment to think about the direction I'm going. And yeah, it's had really great feedback actually on Instagram. People are just finding it just really helpful. And I also do like kind of like a little meditation type of prayer where I just, say like, Lord, I commit to you my day, and given my illness that I struggle with, it's just like my body can't handle this burden of illness, and I need to just give that up. Like right away in the morning, I say, you need to take this off my plate because I can't physically, handle the burden that comes with illness. So I give that away. I surrender it to you. I say when the pain comes, I lean in and not away. Give me the strength to fight this battle. Continue to show me what it means to be comforted by you, and help me have a renewed heart and purpose each day. And then I do a little, this is maybe kind of nerdy, but at the end, I always say expecto patronum. I don't know if you're a huge Harry Potter fan, but
my husband sure will know this.
For those people, I'm like a huge fan. I remember watching the movies and having seen that scene where like the Dementors are coming and they're just trying to suck all of Harry's hope away from him.
Mm-hmm.
And when he says this expecto patronum, it's like it's basically saying, I expect a guardian. I expect you to show up. And so I kind of picture an image of the desire of my heart, whether it's a palm tree swaying at the beach, or I just picture a place where I'm in complete bliss. And yeah, so that's how I start my day every day.
That's beautiful. I love that. So following your morning regime, are you a coffee drinker, and what is your coffee order?
Yes, I have to have my coffee. Actually, probably the coffee comes before this whole thing.
Good girl.
Yeah, it's like wake up, coffee. Well, wake up, pills. I have to wait an hour so that they don't interfere, but then it's coffee.
Then it's coffee.
Yeah, so I eat mostly paleo. So a lot of my coffee order lately has been dairy free. Usually sweetened with like a little coconut sugar and an almond milk creamer of some sort, but nothing too exciting. But I actually found these honeys that are local to my community, and they're to die for. So I've been putting in like little pumpkin spice honey. They have like gingerbread maple.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, like pumpkin or peppermint mocha, all these really fun flavors. So I've been adding little honey lately. So
you're seasonaling up your coffees too.
Yes. Oh yeah.
I love that. What is something that you always have in your purse day to day, or something that you just can't live without when you travel?
Gosh, my purse is like everything to me. It has every emergency thing inside of it. Given the pandemic, hand sanitizer for sure. Yes. But lip gloss is probably the next one. I feel like I'm always putting on lip gloss, so I have to have that with me.
Especially as things are getting colder, hey? I feel like it's just like a constant, more of a need than a want.
Yeah, exactly.
So I know you eat paleo, but if you are indulging, what is your favorite junk food?
Oh, I'm a totally self-professed food addict. So when I went paleo, it was like cutting off an arm for me at first. I cried every day for 2 weeks. Yeah, so given that I'm a huge food addict, and I'd say chips. Like I think I'm more of a salty than a sweet. I definitely would. Anything that's like crunchy, salty, yeah, I'm into that.
Love it. It's been so bad. We had like so many little bags of Halloween chips that are
Oh yeah,
still
yeah.
lingering around the house. And they're just like, they're there. If I can like keep it out of the grocery cart, then
Yeah.
I can be fine. But if it is under my roof, it's game over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. Me too. 100%. Yeah, like I just want people to like my family to hide. Like, please hide this the leftover Halloween candy or
Yes.
the
Like
chips.
throw it out or put it under lock and key.
Yeah.
What was the first or most memorable concert you've ever attended?
Well, the first concert I attended was New Kids on the Block in
Oh my
1989
word.
back in Montreal.
The
That was
best.
epic. I brought a friend with me and my mom, and I screamed pretty much for 2-3 hours straight. I had no voice, and the whole time, like my friend wasn't as big of a fan as I was, and she just stared at me the whole time, like, "Why are you acting like this?"
I love it.
I'm a huge fan.
I love it. Well, it's funny because watching Fuller House with my kids on Netflix has been their introduction to New Kids on the Block because they make a few cameos on
Right.
Fuller House, and they're like, "Who is this?" Like they're so excited about this, and I'm like, "Let me tell you a little story about New Kids on the Block."
About Joey.
Many years ago. That's awesome.
So, were you a Jordan or a Joey?
Well, you know what? I feel like I never had a specific person. I feel like with where I grew up, it was always people that were just a couple years older than me that were really into it. And I just never really, like, I knew who they were and I was like all for it, but kind of more so like following the crowd, like, oh yeah, they're so great, but not really so much that I was like die hard, had somebody specific.
Yeah.
What about
I know,
you?
I feel that way about Backstreet Boys.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah,
wasn't the Backstreet Boy era, right? I was like before that. So I feel that way about them. Like I like them, I know their songs, but I don't know any of their names kind of thing.
totally. Yeah. I was like in between both of them. Yeah, I hear
Yeah.
you. What is one thing that you absolutely love to do in your free time?
Well, I used to love going shopping for decor. Now with a mask and I wear glasses, it's really not that fun. Because they get fogged up, right, when you put on the mask. But I guess still shopping online for decor. And I'm definitely a Netflix person. I love a good like British murder mystery or something, right?
Oh, what are you
Series you can
watching
just kind of
right
like dive
now?
into, and it just because my mind is so busy all the time and I'm constantly, thinking all the time. If I sit and get involved in a series, then I feel like I can completely relax for that time frame.
I am the exact same way. I really, as much as I have things on the go and my brain is always going 1,000 miles an hour, I can watch a movie or TV episodes and just be completely lost in it. So much so that all of a sudden I'm like, I'm thinking about these characters like they're my friends. Like I'm like wondering
Yeah.
what's going to happen next.
I know. I get too attached sometimes, like the Lost series, like from
Yes.
Lost, that was like I just remember thinking like this is my family. But
And
no,
and
they're
then it
not.
ends. And you're like, did I
I know.
just lose? Am I mourning my family
Exactly. It's
members?
grief. Yeah.
I know you guys like to travel. So, where is your favorite travel destination or place that you're most looking forward to going once things open up a
Mm,
little bit more?
I don't know. That's like asking who's your favorite child, because I literally have loved almost everywhere that we've been. Like, or I can choose, an aspect of it that I really love.
Mm,
Um, I would say Hawaii for sure stole my heart when I went there the first time. I don't know, there's just something about the sounds, the smells, the climate, the people, everything. I just cannot wait to get back there. And also Adair, Ireland. It was an amazing little town. We stayed in this beautiful castle, and like I just dream about going back there every day.
Just magical.
It was magical.
I love that. Final question. What would your perfect day look like if you could be completely in charge of your own schedule and had all the energy to do the things that you wanted to do in a day?
Yeah, that's a tough one to think about, like your perfect day. Because again, perfectionist here, so
right.
That take a lot. How can I answer this perfect question? I mean, my favorite days are when I get to be with my family. Like, just, I'm thinking Christmas coming up. It would just be awesome if we can just all be together. That's my perfect day. Eating good food, doing something fun together, just hanging out together. Or renovating, I guess.
On the opposite end of this, or renovating.
Yeah, or renovating. We just say, okay, let's keep going with the board and batten in some different rooms. That would definitely be a really good day.
I love that. Jenn, thank you so much for our fun and open conversation today. It is so awesome to hear how you are moving forward in your blog and staying inspired, even amidst everything going on in the world. We need more inspiration. So I'm just so happy to chat with you today.
Perfect. This was awesome. And I'm really thankful that you asked me.
Celebrating Simple Life, the podcast, is a proud member of the Saskatchewan Podcast Network, which is supported by Connexus. Does money spark joy in your life or cause you stress? If you said stress, you're not alone. For 42% of Canadians, their biggest stressor comes from money. At Connexus, they care about your financial well-being. Money doesn't have to be stressful, and Connexus is here to help. The Connexus Money Talk blog provides expert advice, tips, and solutions for all life stages and events. Getting married, buying a house, budgeting, saving, they cover it all and more. And did I mention it's free? Check it out today at connexusmoneytalk.ca and start feeling confident and stress-free about your money. This show would not be possible without you, my incredible listeners. It would mean the world to me if you would subscribe to Celebrating Simple Life on Apple Podcasts or download and listen on Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you choose to listen. If you really want to make my day, leave a review. These reviews, ratings, and sharing screenshots of podcast episodes that were engaging for you on your Instagram stories and tagging friends that you think should hear the episode too really helps the podcast grow. It makes me so happy that I often select reviews to read on the show, and if yours is chosen, you will receive a special gift from me. Thank you for being a part of my mission to connect stories of business and life. Cheers to Celebrating Simple Life.